She's got miles and miles and miles from me. Put it on like it used to be. It's the way you beg it clean. I can't fake when you take hold of me. You take hold of me. I can't fake when you. I can't fake when you.
Guys, 2020 has officially hit peak insanity. The Camry is fun. So we're here today in the 2020 Toyota Camry TRD, the car you thought they would never make, yet here we are. It also came out with the TRD Avalon, which is another one that definitely caught everybody by surprise. Toyota, good for you guys, trying to get exciting, throw a little spice into the lineup, put side skirts and lips on everything. I'm down, let's do it. Prius TRD, I want to see it. So starting on the outside of this car, it is very, very aggressive. It's so deceptively low as well, the little accoutrement going around the body, that you'd be deceived into thinking it's a sports car as you're driving sideways over speed bumps and scraping as you go over dips and making even little bumps in parking lots a little bit of a challenge. It's got enough height that it stays off the ground, but you can definitely scrape it pretty easily. I've been surprised. I feel like I scrape less in the Supra than I do in this car or in the Avalon sibling, but hey, good for Toyota for trying. So this is kind of the middle of the pack. It's not totally based out, but it's not totally loaded out either. The goal of this TRD package was to try and give everybody something that they could get into and have a little bit of fun in. It's not that they're terrible or anything, they're just not the first thing that comes on somebody's list when you think about what's an exciting car, what's something that encourages you to go have a little bit of fun while you're driving it. And surprisingly, with the little tweaks that they've made on this and on the Avalon, both are actually a lot more fun to drive. Taking this thing and hustling it through the canyons today, I was surprised at how well put together the suspension is. It feels really firm and absorbs all the bumps up really nicely without feeling stiff and compromising the ride of the car. You could be somebody who wants to just kind of play every once in a while, and this car would actually feel like it's catered really nicely to you. And that's something I've been really impressed with by it so far. It drives really well. You got the 306 horsepower V6 up front. We got front wheel drive. But you'd be deceived if all you thought that this was just a regular Camry with red seat belts and skirts. They actually did quite a bit up under the car to try and make it feel more engaging, more exciting, to hold its body roll in the corners, to not be rolling all over the place and flopping over the second you try and introduce it to a little bit of speed. This car is actually pretty apt to go play with you and go have some fun out in the twisties. It's not exactly the first thing you think to do with the Camry, but hey, yay! Fun Camry, fun Toyota, fun! I am more than happy with them making a little bit more fun in the lineup, and this is a good step in the right direction. So, the TRD version of this car is Toyota Racing Development, and they've tried to make it exciting. Definitely not the word you would normally pair with this car. Usually beige, gas mileage, comfort, reliability, all those gross words in the enthusiast language tend to come up when they're associated with the Camry. But this is a nice change of image. Everything about this car suggests fun. It doesn't go out and try and wow you with features. It's not the craziest, most leather-clad, technology-infused piece that Toyota has. It's just fun. For the price it is and for what you get, it's just fun. It's for somebody who wants a car that's a little bit more engaging, a little bit more exciting, but they're not really willing to try and go all the way over to something that is full-bore sports car, something that is really pretty dedicated, that living with on a daily basis, you kind of get a little bit of the trade-offs. You get the fun every day, but you also get a broken spine every time you go home and go lay down in bed. This, after being in it for about 6 hours now, I'm feeling great. The seats have great support. I've always been a fan of this new generation seat that Toyota's had. They've got plenty of side support, plenty of lumbar support. Everything holds you in how it's supposed to, and you don't feel like you're just going to roll out of it. But at the same time, it doesn't just feel like a stiff, terrible sport seat that's in some of the cars that feels like you're sitting on a piece of carbon fiber with a piece of cloth over it. So out driving right now, I've been getting pretty decent gas mileage. It averages around 30 to 35 out on the highway, and anywhere from 25 to 30 in town. Kind of depends how hard you're driving it. With the exhaust on here, definitely encourages you to get into the throat a little bit more, but it's not droning. You can hear as we're cruising down the highway here at about 80 miles an hour, there's not a whole bunch of noise coming out from the back. This gives you the nice extra bit of sound, the nice extra bit of rasp without really just brutalizing you as you're out trying to drive it around and just trying to live with it day to day. It's balanced really nicely for those who want a little bit more sport, and that's kind of where this car hits its mark. This was a huge risk for Toyota to go and sporty up two of their little bit more pedestrian cars that people don't necessarily look to as a sporty alternative to anything. It helps fill their niche out for sure. Definitely widens the product lineup in the Avalon and in the Camry here, and gives people a few more options, and maybe might steal some customers away from some other brands that have more sporty devoted cars, because this is just enough sport to be fun without really sacrificing everything. You know, everybody gets all hot and bothered about the fact that, oh, it's a boring Camry, but the reason people just kind of shrug it off is because it is so good. It's been so reliable. It's been so just phenomenal for Toyota for its entire life. It's been everything you need. It's never exceeded people's expectations, but it always meets them. And this car definitely does that. I would say it exceeds my expectations in a couple places. The giant wing, the skirts, the cool seatbelts, the fact that it actually drives like someone wanted it to be a fun car is perfect. And I will take as many more TRD cars as Toyota wants to throw at us. Because even though it's not a crazy, I don't know what they would call it, TRD R, TRD Pro, whatever the heck they're going to call the more racy car versions of things, or maybe just the TRD version. But they touched on all the things that you really kind of want them to touch on. Everything feels like it's had the magic wand kind of float over it, even though you might not realize they are the lesser gauges or the lesser screen, because of the fact they match the theme of the car, the red, the fun. It just makes it feel like it was done. It feels like somebody came through, found all the things that, what do sport people want to buy in a car? Red seatbelts. Perfect. It's not the only thing, it's been mentioned a lot, but red seatbelts! So final thoughts on this Camry here. I'm really impressed. The fact that Toyota jumped off the deep end and took this car, which people have been wanting something a little bit more exciting out of the Camry for a while. The V6 variants always were kind of touted as a little more fun than maybe they actually were. That, or people's expectation of it was maybe a little bit more fun than it actually was. Whereas this, when you get behind the wheel and you go beat on it for a little bit, it will stand out. It's great. The suspension tuning is phenomenal. There's very minimal understeer. You can get to where the car is actually communicating with you and trying to tell you where its limits are, instead of just... I went 60 in a corner, guys. But no, this car has actually really kind of stood out to me a little bit. After spending a good bit of time with it now, I'm still comfortable. I'm still happy. It's still pretty quiet in here. There's a little bit more road noise in this than maybe some of the competition, but it can be forgiven. It's still just as comfortable as it should be. It's still just as usable as it needs to be, and just as approachable as it should be. And it's a great talking piece for anytime you park it anywhere and people look at it and they see the questionable things that have been done to it. They'll ask you whether or not you did it, or whether it came that way. I've had that a couple times with this car, and for some Camry owners that were really surprised and didn't realize they made body kits for Camrys until they learned that it's actually just the TRD car. So good on Toyota, taking us by surprise. I'm more than okay with that. For an automaker that's criticized sometimes for being a little bit boring and kind of playing it a little too safe, this was a great risk for them to take. And in a day and age where a lot of companies are not catering to sedans anymore, they're not making the sedans, they're not trying to make options for them, they're just kind of rounding out their lineup and offering what they have. It's very, very interesting that Toyota's put the investment into not only making a hybrid one, but making a sporty one, making an all-wheel drive one, making the Camry really still a very usable car. And those who go and try it out and don't need a CUV or SUV and want something that is a little bit more fun and, dare I say, a little bit more flashy, a Camry flashy? Am I okay? I like a Camry. It's fun. It's flashy. It has red seatbelts. So overall, props to Toyota. Props for actually caring. Props for trying something different. Going out on a limb. Making fun. Even if it is a Camry. Let's do the Corolla next. All-wheel drive, turbo 4, maybe 300 horsepower. Stick it to some of the certain cars in the segment. Civic Type R, STI, Long Gone Evo, Focus RS, things like that. Toyota, I believe in you! And this car helps cement that belief. So I'm glad you guys came and stuck around and checked this out today. If you want to see more reviews, you can check us out at Driven Summit on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. But today, we've had the 2020 Camry TRD, and did I mention it's fun? I think I did. I think I need to take my temperature. This 2020 thing is really setting in.
You take hold of me. I can't fake when you